China's vessels just showed up again. But this time the Philippines isn't backing down. The familiar sight of Chinese maritime forces asserting their presence in the West Philippine Sea has once more cast a long shadow over regional stability. However, the recent surge in activity, particularly since early May 2025, signals a potential escalation, a renewed push by Beijing to solidify its expansive claims. The sheer scale and audacity of these deployments are raising alarm bells not just in Manila but across Southeast Asia and beyond. The return of these Chinese flotillas is more than just a routine patrol, it feels like a deliberate statement. Reports from Reuters indicate an unusually large congregation of naval and Coast Guard vessels fanning out across East Asian waters. The Philippines, geographically positioned at the heart of this maritime chessboard, finds itself once again on the front lines of a brewing confrontation. The coming weeks and months will be a crucial test of this newfound resolve. The sheer numbers involved in China's recent maritime deployments are staggering and speak volumes about its strategic intent. On May 21st and May 27th, 2025, observers noted the presence of nearly 60 and then over 70 Chinese ships respectively. This wasn't just a collection of fishing boats. The flotillas included formidable assets such as guided missile frigates, destroyers, and a significant contingent of Coast Guard vessels. Adding another layer to this show of force is the activity of China's aircraft carriers. The Shandong has been notably active in the South China Sea, while the Liaoning has been patrolling off the southeastern coast of Taiwan. The primary objective behind these massive deployments appears to be the reinforcement of China's dominance over this first island chain. Nearly a quarter of global maritime trade passes through the South China Sea annually. This blatant disregard for international law is at the heart of the current tensions, creating a dangerous standoff with nations like the Philippines. The aggressive maneuvers by Chinese vessels are not abstract displays of power. They have tangible and often dangerous consequences for Filipino mariners and official missions. A particularly glaring example occurred on May 21st, 2025, when the Chinese Coast Guard targeted the Filipino vessel BRP Datu Sande. According to Al Jazeera, during a routine research voyage near the Spratly Islands, the BRP Datu Sande was subjected to harassment, including being blasted with water cannons and sideswiped by a Chinese Coast Guard ship. This incident is not isolated. Chinese Coast Guard and maritime militia vessels have been increasingly sighted intruding into areas well within the Philippines' exclusive economic zone. The strategic implications of these encounters are profound. The stakes, therefore, could not be higher. This time, however, the response from Manila feels palpably different, imbued with a stronger sense of resolve and a refusal to be cowed. There is a growing wave of frustration coursing through the Philippine government and its military establishment over China's relentless and often dangerous actions in the West Philippine Sea. The repeated incursions, the harassment of Filipino fisherfolk, and the blatant disregard for Philippine sovereign rights have accumulated, fostering a determination to adopt a more assertive stance. The Philippine Bureau of Fisheries and Aquatic Resources issued a strong condemnation, following the aggressive interference by the Chinese Coast Guard on May 21, 2025. Furthermore, the Philippines has been actively lodging diplomatic protests, making its objections clear on the international stage. The message emanating from the archipelago is increasingly one of defiance. Central to the Philippines' emboldened stance is the landmark 2016 ruling by the Permanent Court of Arbitration in The Hague. This international arbitral tribunal delivered a decisive blow to China's expansive claims in the South China Sea, unequivocally stating that Beijing's assertions, particularly those based on the 9-dash line, have no basis in international law. Despite the clarity and binding nature of the 2016 ruling, China has consistently refused to acknowledge or abide by it. The Philippines, under its current leadership, has increasingly leveraged this 2016 ruling as a cornerstone of its foreign policy regarding the West Philippine Sea. The legal clarity provided by the ruling serves as a moral and diplomatic shield for the Philippines. The very act of China ignoring a significant international legal judgment reinforces the perception in the Philippines and among its allies that Beijing is not interested in a peaceful rules-based resolution. In response to China's persistent assertiveness, the Philippines is not merely relying on diplomatic protests and legal pronouncements. It is actively undertaking a significant modernization of its naval and coast guard capabilities. Among the notable additions are multi-role patrol vessels like the BRP Teresa Magbanua and the BRP Gabriela Silang, which are larger, more modern and better equipped than many older ships in the Philippine fleet. The BRP Teresa Magbanua, for instance, has already been actively involved in resupply missions to Ayungin Shoal and has demonstrated its endurance and capability in challenging China's blockades. Furthermore, the Philippine defense enhancement is not limited to ships. Under the framework of the Enhanced Defense Cooperation Agreement with the United States, new technologies, including advanced drones and radar systems, are being deployed. This bolstering of its own capabilities is a clear message to Beijing that the Philippines is serious about defending its maritime entitlements. The Philippines is not standing alone in this increasingly tense maritime theater. A crucial element of its strategy is the strengthening of alliances and partnerships with like-minded nations that share a commitment to a free and open Indo-Pacific and the principles of international law. Most notably, the Philippine Navy is now frequently joined by assets from the United States and Australia, conducting joint patrols and exercises in the South China Sea. The recent Balikatan exercises, an annual joint military drill between the Philippines and the United States, underscore this deepening security cooperation. Beyond the United States and Australia, support for the Philippines and for freedom of navigation in the South China Sea is growing internationally. Japan has also become a key partner, participating in trilateral exercises and providing patrol vessels and equipment to the Philippine Coast Guard. This burgeoning network of alliances and partnerships provides the Philippines with crucial diplomatic material and operational support. As the Philippines, backed by its allies, adopts a more assertive posture, the crucial question arises: what happens if China pushes back even harder? The situation is undeniably volatile, with an observable uptick in activities and confrontations, particularly around sensitive areas like Sandy Cay. This uninhabited sandbar, located near the Philippines' main military outpost on Thitu Island and close to China's sprawling artificial islands, has become a new flashpoint. China, for its part, has not shown any signs of de-escalation. Recently, China declared several live-fire drill areas off its coast, including a significant zone directly facing southwestern Taiwan. The heightened Chinese military activity is being closely monitored by neighboring countries. Japan, for instance, has been keeping a vigilant watch on the movements of the Liaoning aircraft carrier and its accompanying warships as they operate near its southern islands and the waters around Taiwan. The public reaction within the Philippines to these developments is a mix of apprehension and patriotic fervor. The Philippines is clearly signaling that it isn't just watching the tides of Chinese ambition anymore. It's ready to navigate them with newfound determination. The era of quiet acquiescence or solely relying on diplomatic niceties appears to be fading, replaced by a more pragmatic and proactive strategy that combines self-help with robust alliance building. The deployment of more capable patrol vessels, the enhancement of surveillance technologies, and the visible support from international partners all point towards a Philippines that is increasingly prepared to assert its rights and defend its interests in the West Philippine Sea. The critical question now is, how will China respond to this evolving dynamic? Will Beijing choose to escalate its coercive tactics, risking further international condemnation and potentially more direct confrontations? The world is watching, and the stakes are incredibly high for all involved. The future of this critical waterway will not be determined by unilateral declarations or the sheer number of ships deployed by one nation.